Thanks everyone for coming back for another segment of the MCR. Mac and I coming at you. And in this segment, we kind of want to talk about this situation. I learned about it, I want to say last Thursday. Last Thursday, I heard about Steven Crowder, for lack of a better description, at odds with the Daily Wire. Okay. And and of course, I think highly of Steven Crowder. I think highly of the Daily Wire. I think highly of everyone they got on the Daily Wire. So I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? And and so I've watched quite a bit of video. Uh, there's a guy, a CEO. His first name's Jeremy, and forgive me, I forget his last name, but Jeremy, a video of Black Scout survival. I watched a video of Dr. Steve Turley. Uh, I've
And they're
watched
all
Steve.
talking about this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's one of these. This is this kind of needs all the parties involved need to make amends because the I think the left is yucking it up at us right now. Okay, uh, but the gist of it is Steven Crowder. He's got his own service. I guess it's called the Mug Club. Okay, and the Daily Wire was interested in making Steven Crowder and his Mug Club part of the Daily Wire staff or crew
Yeah, bringing them into
or
the fold.
yeah, bring him into the fold. Okay, and the Daily Wire presented to Steven Crowder, and the Daily Wire presented to Steven Crowder. It was not a formal contract, but it was an outline intended to construct a contract. In other words, let's go down this outline and see what we agree on, and then from there a contract will be presented. Okay. Well, what really set Crowder off was there is a portion that mentions uh, they were going and Daily Wire admits this, Steven Crowder admits this. There was a $50 million offer to Steven Crowder. However, that $50 million was dependent upon the major media platforms: YouTube, Apple Podcast, iTunes, Facebook, Spotify. Now, if any or all of these gave him a strike or banned him, it would affect the $50 million. And this is where I'll say all hell broke loose. Uh, Steven Crowder is saying that by Daily Wire having this as part of their contract, they are making themselves the strong arm of the very big tech entities we're trying to fight. Do you get it so far, Mac?
Yeah, I get it, and I understand why Daily Wire is coming from where they're coming from. Because if he's on a strike or strike two, then you're suspended and you're not on the air, so to speak, or you're not able to publish. So they're going to pay him for being suspended, which that just doesn't make any sense to me. Why they would do that? I understand where Crowder's coming from because he doesn't want to be somewhat censored. And we've been accused of that too. Oh, we're self-censoring. Well, here's what people have to understand. We don't own this platform that we're on. We don't own YouTube. It's like we're a guest in their house, so to speak. And they are going to set the rules like you or I would at our house. And you can love it or leave it. And I think some people would rather all of us be silent than give in a little to them and play by their rules since they own the platform.
Well, when I watched this 52 or 55-minute video by Jeremy of the Daily Wire, uh, he went through the contract, or not the contract. He went through the outline and explained uh, the reasons behind what was listed. And I guess in part he was saying that, you know, they needed to they needed it's almost like they're using the big tech platforms for justification of whatever contract, in other words, they were using the big tech platforms to justify the $50 million. But if you don't exist on any or all of these big tech platforms, that affects the $50 million.
Of course.
Steven Crowder was saying it's not about the money. He goes, and Steven Crowder's position was now Daily Wire, in essence, is allowing themselves to become an enforcer of these big tech policies. And at the end of the day, you got business beliefs colliding with political or moral beliefs in regards to our country, you know, and Steven Crowder was basically, no, I'm not going to yield to these platforms in any way. I guess you could say Crowder's being a purist, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, well, he can afford to be in some measure because he's got his own platform he can work off of. I mean, like for us, we need the platforms we're on or we won't be heard.
Yeah.
And that said, we got to kind of play by rules we don't like, rules we don't think are just and fair. But otherwise, it's either do it or be silent. And I don't see any point in being silent.
And not knowing when this video is going to run, Crowder is going to appear on Tim Pool's show to give his side of the story further in detail, other than, and here's where it's interesting. I guess originally, after Steven Crowder turned down Daily Wire, he came out with I don't know, a 15 or 18-minute video, and he showed the negotiation outline, is what I'll call it. I don't know what the technical term of it is, but he showed it, and he had redacted names. So in his very first video, he did not specify Daily Wire. Okay, well, Daily Wire, because everyone knows everyone once you get into that business to that extent, everyone kind of knew he was talking about the Daily Wire, so much so that the Daily Wire, and this is when Jeremy came out with his 52-minute video and said, yeah, it's us. So you could, I guess you can technically say Daily Wire outed themselves. Well, once Daily Wire outed themselves, that's when Crowder came back with like another 20-minute video and in depth, said, now that they've outed themselves, I'm gonna go into further detail as to why I did what I did. And the moral of the story here is, all the more need for Rumble, because YouTube's going to be YouTube, and that's kind of between YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple iTunes, or whatever, Apple Podcast and iTunes. Since big tech is going to do what big tech's known for doing, all the more reason to get on these alternate platforms, whether it be Rumble, whether it be Truth Social, uh, because these big tech, and I think what Jeremy was saying was, he was saying, okay, you go onto these platforms, play by their rules, but sell yourself to the alternate platform in an effort to grow the other platform, which is what we've tried to do with YouTube.
Yeah, we've done that. We saw the censorship and oppression of conservatives on YouTube. And people, of course, and I've said this a dozen times now on this show, why do you stay there? Because they want us to leave. We're going to make them kick us off rather than us just quit, because they want conservatives off. So by you quitting, all you've done is give them what they want. And we're not going to do that.
Well, this whole thing kind of bums me out because, like I said at the very beginning, I think highly of all parties involved.
It should have been kept private. It shouldn't have
and
gotten
and
into public
and that's
review.
probably where Crowder might have a little egg on his face, maybe, in that, you know. But at the same time, he's like, he's still saying, why are we giving in to these big tech platforms? And I guess that was his breaking point.
Well, I can tell you why we do, because we don't have another place to go where like he does. And
Yeah.
Yeah, Daily Wire, they have their own thing. We get no money here. We don't ask for any money. We don't have like Crowder and Shapiro and Dave Rubin and who else you might mention, Joe Rogan. We don't have a staff of 20 people to work on stories for us. We do it all on our own.
Well, in closing, because this is turning into a lengthy video here, but in closing, I would really encourage people, go to Rumble, watch the Steven Crowder videos, and then, and the Jeremy video for Daily Wire, that's on YouTube. And uh, I like I said, I watched a Black Scout Survival where, Jack Richland from Black Scout Survival, he said, I'm kind of siding with Crowder, but I really wished he had kept it private.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought, you know what, I'm kind of feeling the same way,
Same.
So in the meantime, the left is yucking it up at us, and but at the same time, it's interesting to find out that Daily Wire will put into their contracts the cost of playing by big tech's rules, and that I find that interesting also.
Yes.
I guess that's the cost of doing business.
It is.
And that's all I really got. This is a sad tale, all in all, and that's all I got. Any final thoughts, Mac?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. We'll catch you in the next one. As always, be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.